When I was a little girl growing up in middle-class New Jersey, my entire artistic life was curated by people who lived in the straitjacket of a very conformist suburban life. In the late 50s and early 60s, all the houses in my neighborhood were the same size in the developments. They even were the same shape and color and style. And in the schools, your job was to put pennies in your loafers and look the same as everybody else and act the same as everybody else. Standing out, being different, was like drawing a target on your forehead. And you had to have a special kind of courage to do it. And some of my teachers were obliged to live their whole lives hidden, covertly. But my 6th and 7th grade music teacher, Paul Grossman, was one of the bravest people I knew. Because later, when I was in graduate school, I read that he had transitioned and become one of the first transgender women in the country. And after the operation, she reported back as Paula Grossman to our middle school in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, where she had taught for 30 years, and she was promptly fired. But she pursued her case for wrongful dismissal and back pay through the courts for 7 years, all the way to the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, her case was not accepted, and she lost. But she won her pension under a disability allowance settlement, although she was disabled only by the small minds of the school board. You know, there is a good thing about being older. There is. You'll see. And that is, you do get to mark the decades and the progress of things. You can honestly say things are better now. They really are better now. But what is that famous quote? The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. Everybody thinks that's Jefferson that said that. But it wasn't. It was an Irishman, John Philpot Curran, don't you know? And he also said, evil prospers when good men do nothing. Ain't that the truth? Which brings us to now. We shouldn't be surprised that fundamentalists of all stripes, everywhere, are exercised and fuming. We shouldn't be surprised that these profound changes come at a much steeper cost than it seemed we were gliding through them in the late 20th century. We shouldn't be surprised if not everyone is totally down with it. But if we live through this precarious moment, if his catastrophic instinct to retaliate doesn't lead us to nuclear winter, we will have much to thank this president for, because he will have woken us up to how fragile freedom really is. So here we are in 2017, and we seem to be reverting to the factory settings. But we're not. We're not going to go back to the bad old days of ignorance and oppression and hiding who we are. Because we owe it to the people who have died for our rights and who have died before they even got their own. And we owe it to the pioneers of the LGBTQ movement, like Paula Grossman, and to the people on the front lines of all civil rights movements, not to let them down. it's embarrassing and it's terrifying to put the target on your forehead, and it sets you up for all sorts of attacks and armies of brown shirts and bots and worse. And the only way you can do it is to feel you have to. You have to. You don't have an option. You have to. Stand up, speak up,